Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? Hey, Rachel. Good morning. You're in California, right?
She is.
Very good. It's like 5:30 there. I think you're muted. Couldn't hear you. But anyways, good morning. Hope y'all are doing well. Um, oh, Michelle, you wanted to go over saving an e-app this morning? I've got a couple of things, but um, you want me
Yeah, I
to?
think if you want to do that, I don't know if Rachel has done hers yet. You might have figured it out already. But
Did.
okay, cool. Cool.
Okay. Will be a good refresher, anyways, to touch on. So give me 1 second. Share my screen. All right. While I get that up, um, all right, here we go. Everybody see this pretty well, hopefully. Cool. So I'm gonna do Mutual of Omaha. They're an easy company to um, work with, but there's a few others that are a little bit different. But this is more or less the process. So if you're going to the e-app screen, so like Foresters is on here, Mutual of Omaha, a couple other companies. Transamerica is on this iPipeline. So if you go to, well, we can do start a new case, but so we start a new case, for example, you select the state and then you can label it whatever. I just label whatever product like term life or whole life or whatever, right? Just so I can remember. Um, and then you'll go to whichever products you're trying to do, available products, which too young for whole life. So we'll do so like that. And then okay. So once you fill in all the information, I always get in the habit of hitting save here before if I'm not done with the case. And then you have a My Cases tab here. So once you're done with it, um, and you can clear these. If you get these alerts, you can clear them. You always just want to check what the status says. If it says e-submitted, you're good. Sometimes these alerts are on here for whatever reason. Um, Yeah. So if you have these and it says submitted, you can clear them from your system. You just hit this exclamation point button and clear them that way. But to save an app, you just always go to the view forms button here, and it's going to automatically download your application. So here it's saying it's not available until I've started the case. So I didn't put any information. So I can save it on the application itself here. But it won't let me download the forms, for example, because I haven't put in all the details, if that makes sense, right? So you'd have to finish all the details before it lets you do that. So here's another one as an example that you can download. So one that's been finished here. You would just select this view forms button, and it would download the application. Then you hit the download button on the screen and save it into a file. Okay. That's how you do it. Any questions on that at all?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend, I used this for Mutual of Omaha to do an app for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she was using, when we got to the HIPAA forms that she needed to e-sign, she was using an iPhone and she was having problems. We even got the message back, or she got the message back saying thank you for e-signing. And it sounded like it was successful on her side. But I never got I never got to go beyond the HIPAA part where you can start the underwriting, where you fill in all those questions or answer all the questions. I ended up sending her like 4 different links to sign and try again. I could not get her to do it. I could not get beyond that point.
So you finished the first part of the application and you were sending her the HIPAA signature?
Yep. She was on an iPhone.
Okay. So
and she read it out loud to me, and it sounded like everything was done, but it never came back to me telling me that it was done. In fact, I got an email from Mutual of Omaha or this platform saying that you have, or she's trying to use a link that's expired. And even on the very first link that I sent her, it came back saying she's using a link that expired. So I gave up after 4 times and I told her, okay, just wait, let me figure this out. So I actually did a test one with my husband and he was able to get it through really easy on his phone. And then we actually went to go see her yesterday and we did it in person and she did it on her laptop without a problem. I pretended I was at home. She was in the living room.
Very good. Yeah, sometimes that happens. The best thing to do with that system, the iPipeline system, which is like Mutual of Omaha, Foresters, those companies, sometimes you just go in and log out of your ARC and totally reset everything.
Oh.
Log back in, try it that way, and then tell her, hey, just delete the emails that you are showing up right now from Omaha. Just delete them. A lot of times that will work. Also, just making sure, a lot of times people have pop-up blockers on their iPhones or their Androids. You know, when they click the email, it'll say this is blocking it, but there's a button that says allow. And
so we did that. My husband walked her through that.
Okay.
And then even when we were at her house and she was on her laptop, when they were done, when well, my husband helped her, but when they were done with it and they said it was done, on my side, it was just sitting there until I hit save.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I hit save, then I got the underwriting screen. So I don't know if it was timing or if I had to hit save.
Yeah, typically you have to refresh.
Hey,
Like
another
what?
idea.
Yeah.
Another idea, y'all. Sorry, I'm driving. Is do you see the chat line?
Yes,
In
and
the
that was not available on Saturday and Sunday. It says chat not available. I chatted with them on
Okay.
Friday
Okay. Okay.
because I wanted to know if I could go beyond. I wanted to know if I could complete the whole application just so I can see it. So I wanted to see what kind of questions. I wanted to see the app. And they said, yeah.
So yeah, so you were able to finish it both part. All the Mutual Omaha have two parts: the HIPAA and then a second, the underwriting part. Did you
What
ever
I
get to the
noticed,
underwriting part?
yeah, I did the whole thing.
Okay.
I did not submit it. I was doing one for myself. I tried to use her information and my social security number, and the app already knew that we did not match. Her name and my social security number did not match. It was smart. It was like, how do you know that? So on my practice one, I had to
Good.
put I had to put the correct information in. And what I saw on this app this weekend was, I thought she qualified for the level because we started out with the level version. Because you can choose level or grade it. We checked level and went all the way through, and then after the HIPAA and after the underwriting, it changed it to grade it. And
Right.
it wouldn't let me do, and it let me in the beginning, it let me do 30,000. And at the end, it says, no, you can only do a graded and only 20,000.
Mm-hmm. So what that means is when the client signs the first signature for the HIPAA, before you answer the underwriting questions, what that's doing is authorizing the insurance company to run their prescription report, their MIB, and things like that, right? So once you get to what happens is she signed for that, and while you were asking her the questions, it was running that information in the background. Okay.
So it goes in the background and looks at her prescriptions.
Yep. And so whenever you get to that point at the end of the application, it found a prescription, a diagnosis, an MIB code, something on her report that would knock her off of the level benefit. Does that make sense? Meaning, even though she may have answered all the questions,
Yeah.
That's fine, but there's still something showing up on her report that is making it graded.
On her MIB report?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And based on her medications that you had given me for her,
yeah,
I knew she wasn't going to qualify for level.
but we can. Okay, I understand
So
that.
it'll always let you put level at the beginning, but it may not approve it at level. And I already knew based on those medications she wasn't going to get level.
So for me, if I wanted to hit submit, mine could be level because I don't have any medications. Or maybe.
Yes, yours can be level.
So we do offer level.
Yes.
Oh.
And this is a good,
Feel better.
yeah, this is a good thing to refresh on and learn as you go, right? Because we can't get too caught up in knowing all the products. We do need to go ahead and submit the business. So like with anybody that we talk to, we can get a good idea of where we're going to go, right? Meaning based on your medicines, I have a good idea of what you're going to be approved for, but I actually don't know, right? So really all we can do right now is apply and see what, if the company is going to approve this. And then once it's approved, we can make any changes that we need to it. Like that's a good, if you're working leads or even with people that that's something you can tell to get the application started and through that process. Does that make sense? Because we really don't know what's going to show up, right? Like we do our best with getting the medicine, asking the questions, but the company still has to officially approve it, right? So you want to get the information from the client, but you also want to say, hey, look, I got your information. I have a good idea of where I'm going. You can reach out to somebody on Slack, like you did with Michelle, right? And just let them know, like, hey, based on your medicine, you're going to get the very best option that the company approves you for, which in this lady's case was graded with Mutual, right?
Right, it wouldn't even do 30. Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah, and then if she really wants
It's
extra
good
coverage,
learning.
The graded is maxed out at 20,000. They have different maximums that they do.
Yeah, it told me that on the screen. It's like, Mary, look at this. And we went back. I thought I made a mistake. I thought I put 20,000 or didn't change it because we started with 20. And then she said, no, let's do 30. I was like, okay. And I thought the screen didn't change. And I had to go all the way back to the beginning to make sure we didn't mess up.
mm-hmm.
And like, oh, we should have just, okay, I got it.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, it's going to happen where you apply for something and someone even gets declined, right?
Right.
So this is another point to refresh on too, is like the more points you do, the better your process is going to get, obviously, right?
Right.
But something that's going to, because I get declines. I've been doing this 8 years. Like I do my best to prohibit a decline, right? As much as I can, but it's still going to happen. So what you can do with every client too is say, hey, look, if for whatever reason this doesn't get approved at all, we'll look at a different company at that point. That's why we have 40 of them, right? And telling them up front like this might happen, right? So that whenever you go back to them, say, hey, look, Mutual didn't approve you, for example. This happens, quite often, actually. It's not a big deal. They're not like thrown off by it, right? So that's a good habit to be in too when you're submitting business. It's just letting people know, like, hey, this is the best company. If for whatever reason they don't approve you, we think that they will. We're not sure, right? If they don't, we'll look at a different option for you. So telling them that on the front end, as opposed to saying, hey, let's apply for this product and it gets declined. And now you have to go back and be like, well, you didn't get approved, and it makes the conversation a little bit more difficult, right? And
Hey,
so,
I think, yeah, I was just going to say, Jonathan, one of the meds that she was on, I forget the name of it, Rachel, but I didn't even think she would get the graded policy with Mutual of Omaha. It was the one that keeps you from overdosing.
It's the nasal spray.
Yeah.
It was nasal spray. Yeah.
So that's good that she even got it. So I'm glad to see that she got that one.
Yeah. So then, okay. So then this morning I have an appointment with a couple. And I was going to try to get them the same one. But so I could ask them if they have what medications they're taking, but I don't have to actually put it in. There was no room. There was no place for me to put in prescriptions.
So when you're doing the toolkit, because I noticed, did you say you had gotten the toolkit for 7 days? Yeah. So that's where you can put the medications in.
Right.
On the right-hand side, and then it'll come up with what options they should approve on.
Right.
Based on that.
I did. I tried that. That was good. I like that toolkit.
Okay. Okay, good.
Should be great.
It is great.
Yeah, very helpful. And that's good stuff. Just keep turning. I mean, the best way to do it is just keep submitting business and focusing on submitting business, right? So you're doing good. Just keep taking action there. And once you get the information, you can put it into the toolkit or you can send a Slack message while you're with the client. That's what Slack is for. The 911 channel is while you're with a client, you can Slack medications. If you don't have the toolkit, Slack the medications, the age, and someone will respond with what route you should go. Okay.
Okay.
So that's helpful too. That's what it's there for, right? It's not, if you're not with the client currently, it's not for that, right? It's not for like a preparation type of thing. But if you're with them and you have the details, you can post it on that Slack channel, and someone will tell you which route to go.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so another thing I did want to mention too. So Mutual is a really good company. It pretty much has any option as far as product goes that you can write with a client. So it has term, has whole life, has index universal life, has critical illness, it has regular whole life, has long-term care. They have pretty much any product you can think of for a client. They're somewhat easy to use as far as their systems go. There are 2 signatures, right? So sometimes virtually that can be a little bit difficult depending on the client you're talking to virtually, right? Because there's 2 signatures, you have to email it to them, and some people could have trouble with that, but it is a good company to focus on. So if you haven't turned in a lot of business, I would, when you meet with a client, they also have accidental, which is great. That product's called Guaranteed Advantage, and anyone can get that up as long as they're 70 years old or younger, or 18 to 70, they can get that product. So focus on that. But the second, there's another product I was going to tell you about. If you're doing final expense business, the CVS and Aetna product for final expense. If you're working with somebody that is older, that isn't super tech savvy, if you tell them like, hey, do you have a computer? And they say, no, all I have is my phone, things like that. That's a really good product because it has a security question that the client can sign with. They don't have to open up an email necessarily to sign the policy. It's also very liberal. So pretty much anyone you take and place in that product most of the time, outside of them like currently being on dialysis or something like that, kidney dialysis, they're going to get something outside of the major stuff, kidney dialysis, Alzheimer's, AIDS, HIV, in a nursing home. That's like a
Really?
Great Western product. But outside of that, the major stuff, they're going to approve them for something. There's 3 plans, and when you put it in, they're going to get coverage. So if you're doing final expense, that is a good product for you guys to look at. It pays very well, it's priced very well, and it's easy to use for the client. So if you have more questions about it, you can Slack me directly. I'm happy to help you out with it, but it's a very good product. It's easy to use, and it gives you, because sometimes we have so many products and it's hard for us to figure out which one to focus on. I don't know if anybody's felt that way at all, but this way you have 2 options to look at, right? Mutual of Omaha. If you're doing final expense, if you have a different type of client, just Slack us. We can tell you which route to go. But I just wanted to mention that to you guys. And it's also helpful too, when you start submitting business, you can actually call CVS and find out if they were declined, why they were. They'll actually tell you as a part of their process. When the client signs the HIPAA, they have something, an acknowledgement on there that clients letting the company share what's on their background, which is helpful for you in case there's a decline or something like that. So, but yeah, it's a new week, and you know, the reality of what we do is real. We went and saw my parents this past weekend, and there's 6 seniors that graduated high school. They were in a car accident. 3 of them died. The others one's in surgery. It's very tragic, but it happens every day. Like, you don't. It is a reality of life we live in. So, like, remember, what we do is important. We literally don't know like what will happen in the future, but 3 families are going through something they shouldn't be going through, period. Right? Like, that shouldn't have happened, but it did. And that's the reality. Another one of my mom's friends, she went to her funeral. She was 58. Shouldn't have died that young, but she did. Right? Like, I don't know if she had insurance. I don't know if those kids had insurance. I'm not trying to be like somber or give you a downer. I'm just telling you, like, what we do really helps people. All that happened this one weekend in East Texas, in a small town. So wherever you're at in Texas or another state, like, it's happening. And the people that we speak to have families, they have stories that they probably have gone through. And if they haven't, they most likely will go through it. So again, I'm telling you this not to make you fearful or, you know, tell a sad story. I'm just here to talk about the reality of what happens and what we help people with. That makes sense? So I just want to encourage you, remember, when you're talking to people, like, what we do is, it's a real thing. It's not just something we're doing, you know, like, money's the last part of what we do. Like, we need to make money, but what we do really helps people. It puts, like, literally, you know, emotionally, it doesn't do anything necessarily, because you still go through that emotion of losing somebody. But financially, it literally changes the entire situation if they didn't have coverage, right? Even an accidental type of plan would completely change someone's situation if there was an accident. So just remember that, right? When you're talking to somebody, there's a reason they reached out. They have somebody they know. They've most likely gone through something, you know. So what you do is important. Like, don't take it lightly, and you know, try to do your best to remember that when you're talking to people, because it's going to come through in your conversation. You can butcher a script all you want, but if you're genuinely trying to help them, they're going to feel that. So, do you guys have any questions at all on what we went over? Like, any specific questions on any of the product stuff? Any specific questions on really anything? Anybody at all?
I do.
Okay.
Mutual of Omaha is telling me that they don't have my anti-money laundering certificate, but I sent it to them. Or when I signed up with them, I
Mhm.
thought,
So just, if they're telling you that, they may not have filed it. So I would call them and call contracting and say, hey, you sent me this email. Do you still not have my AML? If they don't, send them an email. Say, what email do you need me to send this to? Could you please give me a direct email to get this resolved? That's the
Okay.
best way to do it.
And sometimes Melissa can resend it to the company, to NAA as well.
Melissa, okay. I'll send her a
Melissa at
message.
the Fitz Group. Yeah.
Yeah. I've talked to her before.
Yep. So again, calling the insurance companies is always going to beat anything else, right? Like when you call directly, if you have something going on that you need help with, or you slacking one of us is second to calling the insurance company about even business you've turned in or something they emailed you about, because it goes directly to the point and addresses exactly, it gets rid of any confusion, right? Because they may have it, but they haven't filed it. Does that make sense?
No, call them first.
So
Okay.
you calling them will be like, oh, we have it right here, but we just automatically send an email because no one's filed it yet, right? Anyway, so it's always, you can't call the companies enough. You don't want to spend all your time doing it. But if you have business that you need to get paid on, or you have business that's pending, it's a good thing. So, anyways, I think
I'll
we're
take care of it.
up with time. But if you guys need anything, reach out, Slack is the best way. I'll be here to help. Any of us will be. So, Mike and Michelle are going out on vacation this week. So if you need anything, you can get in touch with me through Slack or through email, and I'll be happy to help you. But remember, we got our daily coaching call, 9:00. Be on there. And that's all I got. So y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
See y'all later. See y'all in DCC. Say bye.
Bye, y'all. Hi, Bella.